General Hospital spoilers tease that as the tension rises in Port Charles, Sonny finds himself in a dire situation. His once powerful criminal empire is beginning to show signs of instability. And the mounting threats from all sides are causing chaos in both his professional and personal life. Sonny, ever the strategist, knows that to keep his organization intact, he needs more than just muscle and intimidation. He needs someone who can help him regain control. What he needs is someone who can stabilize his world, who understands both the world of power and manipulation he inhabits, and who can be his equal in navigating the complex and dangerous web of alliances and threats he faces. The answer to Sonny's dilemma unexpectedly comes in the form of Ada Turner, a woman he once saw as his enemy. For years, Turner has been working tirelessly to bring him down, determined to take down the infamous mob boss who has left a trail of destruction in his wake. However, as the lines between legal and illegal become more blurred, Sonny finds himself increasingly attracted to Turner, not just because of her undeniable strength and intelligence but because she represents something he desperately needs: stability. Turner, once a relentless force dedicated to securing justice and prosecuting criminals like Sonny, has slowly begun to see the cracks in the system. Her determination to rise through the ranks of the legal world has often put her at odds with Sonny, but as their encounters become more frequent, she begins to understand the complexities of his world. She realizes that Sonny's actions, while criminal, are often driven by a need to protect those he loves, and that his position in the world is not one he sought but one he inherited. Turner begins to see that Sonny is not the black and white villain she once believed him to be. Instead, he is a man trapped in a system that forces him to choose between loyalty, family, and power. Sonny's need for control, something that has always defined him, becomes even more apparent as he starts to recognize that Turner is the one person who could bring the balance and stability his world so desperately needs. Her presence becomes something more than just professional. There's an undeniable chemistry between them that starts to pull them together. Turner is not just an adversary to be dealt with, but a force in her own right. As the months go by, their meetings become more frequent, and the air between them crackles with tension, a blend of respect, rivalry, and attraction. For Sonny, this shift is both unexpected and unnerving. He's always been in control, always been the one making the decisions, and he's never had to rely on someone else in such a profound way. But as his empire begins to falter, and as the pressure builds, he starts to realize that he cannot do it all on his own. The world he built is too complex, too dangerous, for one man to manage. What he needs is someone who understands both the criminal world and the legal system, someone who can think on their feet, who can challenge him and push him to become better, and someone who, despite their differences, can be a partner in every sense of the word. Turner, for her part, is equally torn. While her loyalty to the law is unshakable, she begins to see Sonny in a different light. He is not just a criminal to be brought down, but a man with complex motivations and emotions. She realizes that he is not so different from her, and that the law itself is often just as flawed as the people who live outside of it. The respect they begin to share for one another grows stronger, and Turner starts to see Sonny not as a villain, but as a man trying to survive in a world that is constantly trying to tear him down. Her own internal conflict becomes more intense as she is forced to confront her own feelings for him. She is, after all, in a position of power. She is the law, and he is the outlaw. But the lines between good and evil, right and wrong, begin to blur, and Turner is left to question where her true loyalty lies. As their relationship evolves, the stakes for both of them rise. Turner's involvement with Sonny begins to affect her career, and she must make difficult choices about how much she is willing to risk for him. For Sonny, the stakes are even higher. His empire is at risk, and if Turner's involvement with him becomes public, it could lead to the downfall of everything he's built. But despite the risks, Sonny cannot deny the pull he feels toward her. For the first time in years, he finds himself vulnerable, and he doesn't know how to deal with the emotions that she stirs in him. Their relationship moves from professional tension to personal connection. The moments they share, whether in the heat of a legal battle or in the privacy of Sonny's world, are charged with an energy that neither can ignore. For Sonny, this is uncharted territory. He has never allowed himself to be vulnerable in this way, but Turner's presence forces him to confront his own humanity. For Turner, this is equally dangerous. She has spent so long building her career on the foundation of righteousness, but Sonny's world is one that constantly challenges her ideals. The deeper she falls into their relationship, the more her own moral compass begins to shift. She has always prided herself on being a fighter for justice, but now she must ask herself whether Sonny deserves to be brought down or whether, in some way, he's the victim of a system that is just as corrupt as the criminals it claims to fight. Their bond deepens as they begin to rely on each other in ways neither of them expected. Sonny starts to lean on Turner for guidance and insight, and she begins to see him as more than just a criminal, but as someone who, in his own way, has tried to protect his family and his people. They both have their demons, their flaws, and their burdens, but together, they make each other stronger. The story between them is no longer just about a mafia boss and a prosecutor locked in a legal battle. It's about two people navigating a world full of corruption, betrayal, and power, and finding a way to make it work in their favor. But as their relationship continues to evolve, the danger of it all intensifies. They are on opposite sides of the law, and the stakes are incredibly high. Will they be able to keep their bond intact, or will the forces around them tear them apart? As Sonny and Turner walk the thin line between love and loyalty, their future is uncertain, and their connection is more dangerous than either of them could have imagined. The road ahead is filled with obstacles, but together, they may just have a fighting chance. Sonny's criminal empire, which has stood as an unshakable force in Port Charles for years, is beginning to show signs of wear. The pressure from every direction is mounting, and the threats to his business and family are becoming more severe. Sidwell, a new enemy who has wormed his way into the fabric of Port Charles, is a significant threat to Sonny's power. And the challenges of maintaining control have forced Sonny to confront a reality he hadn't considered before. For the first time in a long while, Sonny finds himself needing someone else to secure his position, someone who understands the stakes of the game and can help him counteract the forces working against him. That person, unexpectedly, is Ada Turner. For years, she has been Sonny's enemy, tirelessly working to bring him to justice, determined to dismantle the empire he built. But now, as the situation becomes increasingly dire, Sonny recognizes that Turner might be the key to defeating Sidwell and restoring stability to his world. Their relationship, once defined by rivalry and legal battles, is now evolving into something more complex, as both realize they share common ground in their ambitions. Sonny's strategic mind, his ability to manipulate situations to his advantage, meets Turner's legal expertise and her growing understanding of the corrupt systems that govern Port Charles. Together, they might just have the power to outmaneuver Sidwell and secure Sonny's future. Sonny, however, knows that he must tread carefully. He has always been a master of control, but working with Turner means walking a fine line. She is a prosecutor, a person of the law, and getting involved with someone like Sonny could ruin her career. He understands that, but he also knows that in a world as dangerous as theirs, sometimes alliances must be forged out of necessity, not choice. Turner, for her part, finds herself in a similar dilemma. Her loyalty to the law has always been unwavering, but her encounters with Sonny have made her question the system she's been serving. The more she deals with Sonny, the more she realizes that the world of crime he inhabits is not as black and white as she once thought. She begins to understand his motivations, and while she still resents his illegal actions, she can't deny that his loyalty to his family and the people he loves is something she can respect. Their professional battles, once characterized by courtroom confrontations, have become personal. As Sonny starts to rely on Turner for her insight, he opens up to her about his struggles, his fears, and his desire to protect his family. This level of vulnerability is new for Sonny, who is used to being the one in control, but Turner's presence brings out a side of him that he's never allowed anyone to see. For Turner, this is equally complex. She has always seen Sonny as a criminal, a figure to be brought down at all costs. But as she begins to see the man behind the mafia boss persona, she finds herself conflicted. She respects him in ways she never thought possible, and this internal struggle forces her to reconsider her motivations. Their relationship begins to shift. And both of them start to realize that they are no longer just adversaries in a game of power and control, they are allies. The lines between right and wrong, law and crime, begin to blur. Turner sees the broken systems that have allowed people like Sonny to rise to power, and Sonny starts to understand the limitations of the law he has long been at odds with. Together, they are navigating a dangerous world, one filled with secrets, corruption, and moral ambiguity, and it's clear that their shared ambitions will either unite them or tear them apart. But as their bond grows stronger, so does the threat from Sidwell. Sidwell's influence is growing, and he is becoming more dangerous by the day. He's pushing Sonny into a corner, using every trick at his disposal to destabilize Sonny's empire. For Sonny, this fight is not just about business, it's about survival. But with Turner by his side, he begins to see a path forward. She has access to legal channels that he doesn't, and together they can outsmart Sidwell and regain control. However, the deeper they get into this alliance, the more they risk. If their relationship becomes public, it could be the end for both of them. For Turner, aligning herself with Sonny could destroy her career and tarnish her reputation. For Sonny, the risks are just as great. He's already made many enemies, and if his connection with Turner becomes known, it could lead to even more dangerous enemies targeting him. As Sonny and Turner continue to navigate their partnership, they find themselves pushed to their limits. The emotional stakes are higher than ever, and each decision they make could have dire consequences. Sonny has always been a master of manipulation, but now he's facing a different kind of battle, one that requires more than just control. It requires trust. And that trust is hard to come by, especially when both of them are hiding things from one another. Turner has her own secrets, ones that could threaten everything. And Sonny's own moral compass is constantly being tested as he walks a dangerous line between protecting his family and maintaining his empire. Their bond continues to grow. And as the tension between them escalates, so does the danger. They are no longer just two people with opposing goals, they are becoming a team, a force to be reckoned with. But with Sidwell's shadow looming over them, they know that the stakes have never been higher. Their professional rivalry, once so fierce, is now turning into something more personal, more intimate. The question remains, can Sonny and Turner maintain this fragile alliance, or will the pressures of their world tear them apart? As the story unfolds, Sonny and Turner will have to decide how far they are willing to go to protect each other and the lives they've built. Will their alliance be the key to defeating Sidwell? Or will it be their downfall? The emotional and professional stakes continue to rise, and the choices they make will determine not just their futures, but the future of everything they've worked for. In this high-stakes battle for power and survival, only time will tell if their partnership will be enough to overcome the chaos threatening to consume them both. As the dynamics in Port Charles shift, Laura and Anna find themselves confronted by Sonny's latest decisions, which have become a seismic force shaking their understanding of both him and the power structures in the city. For years, Sonny's actions, no matter how unorthodox or controversial, have been seen as part of a grand plan, one that had purpose, even if it was cloaked in secrecy. However, Sonny's recent behavior is turning that assumption on its head, leaving Laura and Anna grappling with the realization that Sonny may no longer be the man they thought they knew. Sonny, always a figure who thrived on control, is now acting unpredictably, forging alliances with former enemies and making choices that seem out of character. To Laura and Anna, these decisions are not just surprising, they are dangerous. They have witnessed firsthand how Sonny's actions ripple across the underworld of Port Charles and beyond. And now they fear that his recent shifts could lead to something much worse than they have ever experienced before. The fear isn't just for their own safety but for the safety of everyone they hold dear, including their families. The person they once trusted to be a stabilizing force now seems to be creating chaos around him, and both women find themselves questioning what Sonny is really after. For Laura, a woman of reason and political acumen, Sonny's unpredictability feels like a betrayal. She's always been able to navigate the political landscape of Port Charles with grace. And she's faced down many challenges in the city. But this new version of Sonny, unpredictable and seemingly reckless, is throwing everything into disarray. She fears that if he continues down this path, the repercussions will be catastrophic not only for him but for everyone around him. Laura knows that Sonny's mafia empire has always thrived on calculated risk, but the latest decisions feel too impulsive, too erratic to be trusted. She has always believed in the idea that family comes first for Sonny, but now it seems like his priorities are changing, and not for the better. Anna, too, is finding herself at odds with Sonny's new behavior. As someone who has worked closely with Sonny, first as an ally and later as a friend, Anna understands better than most how the forces at play in the criminal world shape people's actions. However, even she can't ignore the growing unease she feels in Sonny's presence now. His once predictable actions are becoming erratic, and his loyalty to his family, which was once unwavering, now seems increasingly in question. Sonny has always lived in a world of moral gray areas. But Anna is seeing him make choices that risk everything he's built, choices that even she can't justify. It's a painful realization for Anna, who has worked beside him for years, that the man she thought she knew may no longer be the same person. As Sonny continues to make waves with his decisions, his actions are beginning to erode the trust of those around him. The tension is building not just within Sonny's circle but among his enemies as well. With the old alliances crumbling, new rivalries are emerging. And those who once worked with Sonny are now starting to question where his loyalties truly lie. Laura and Anna are not alone in their concerns. Others who have been close to Sonny for years are beginning to fear that he has lost control. His unpredictability is creating opportunities for those who wish to see him fall, and the fragile web of power he's maintained for so long is now teetering on the edge. The question now is whether Sonny's recent decisions will be his downfall or whether this will be the beginning of a new chapter for him, a chapter where old rules no longer apply, and new players enter the game. Sonny has always been a force to be reckoned with, but the landscape around him is changing, and he is forced to adapt. As the story continues to unfold, both Laura and Anna will need to determine where they stand in this new reality Sonny is creating. Can they continue to support him? Or will they have to distance themselves from the man they thought they knew? This new version of Sonny presents an unpredictable future for Laura and Anna. It's a test of their loyalty and their ability to navigate a world that has become far more dangerous. Their relationships with Sonny have always been based on mutual respect. But as his actions become more erratic, they are left to wonder if their support for him will ultimately be their undoing. The bonds that once tied them to Sonny are beginning to fray. And the trust they once had in him is now being tested in ways they never anticipated. The stakes have never been higher. As Sonny continues to navigate the complicated web of power, loyalty, and family, Laura and Anna must decide if they will stand by him or if the risks have become too great. Each decision they make could have lasting consequences. Not just for them but for the future of Port Charles itself. With Sonny's future uncertain, it's clear that everything they've known is about to change. As tensions rise and the story unfolds, the question remains, will Sonny's unpredictable actions lead to his downfall, or will they lead him to a new, even more dangerous power? The answers to these questions will define the next chapter in Port Charles's story, and the ripple effects will be felt for years to come. Sonny has always been a master of power dynamics, using every tool at his disposal to protect his family and secure his empire. Now, as the stakes grow higher, he has begun to leverage his relationship with Ada Turner in a way that could reshape the future of Port Charles. With Michael and Christina's futures hanging in the balance, Sonny realizes that aligning with Turner could give him the edge he needs to secure their interests and eliminate the threats that have been encroaching upon his family. Turner, with her legal expertise and position of power, is the perfect partner to help him achieve his goals, even if their alliance seems unconventional. Sonny and Turner have had their differences in the past, often finding themselves on opposite sides of the law. But as the world around them grows increasingly complex and dangerous, they have come to see the value in working together. Sonny knows that with Turner's help, He can secure Michael's position as the rightful guardian of Wiley and ensure that Christina remains safe from the web of lies and threats that have been spun around her. In this moment of need, Sonny is willing to push aside past conflicts and fully embrace this strategic alliance, understanding that the power he gains from this partnership could tip the scales in his favor. For Turner, this partnership with Sonny represents a complicated crossroads. She has always been driven by a sense of justice, but working with Sonny means abandoning some of the ideals she once held dear. However, as she gets deeper into the case, she realizes that working with Sonny is the only way to ensure the safety of the people she cares about. The stakes are simply too high for her to remain neutral, and she sees that aligning with Sonny, for better or for worse, is the best chance at preserving the balance in Port Charles. What started as a professional rivalry is now evolving into something more intricate, and Turner finds herself questioning her values as she gets more entangled in Sonny's world. This new dynamic between Sonny and Turner is reshaping the power structure in Port Charles, and their growing alliance is making waves. As Sonny pulls the strings to ensure his family's safety, Turner's influence becomes crucial in navigating the legal obstacles that stand in their way. Together, they represent a new kind of power couple, one that operates in the shadows of the law, bending it to their will. While they may not share a personal relationship, their professional partnership is becoming more potent by the day, with both of them recognizing the advantages of their collaboration. However, not everyone in Port Charles is thrilled about this new alliance. There are those who have always seen Sonny as a criminal mastermind and would rather see him taken down than have him continue to gain power. Turner's involvement with Sonny will undoubtedly spark controversy, particularly among those who are aware of her duty to uphold the law. Her ties to Sonny may draw scrutiny, and she will have to walk a fine line between her role as a prosecutor and her allegiance to him. The stakes are high, and her decisions could have far-reaching consequences for her career, her reputation, and the safety of those around her. Sonny, meanwhile, is using his alliance with Turner not just to protect Michael and Christina but to expand his influence and tighten his grip on Port Charles. He knows that with Turner by his side, he can push through obstacles that would have otherwise been insurmountable. Their combined efforts could bring Sonny even more control over the city. But it could also draw the attention of powerful enemies who will stop at nothing to bring him down, as they work together to secure Michael and Christina's futures. They are also making enemies, and these enemies will not forget what they have done. For Michael and Christina, the alliance between Sonny and Turner is a lifeline. But it also brings its own set of dangers. While Sonny is doing everything he can to protect them, their involvement in his world of crime and manipulation will have its own costs. Michael, in particular, is already feeling the weight of his father's influence in his life. And this new alliance with Turner may be just the beginning of a deeper involvement in Sonny's business that he may not be able to escape from. As much as Sonny is trying to protect his family, the choices he's making could ultimately trap them in a web of power and danger that is impossible to break free from. As this new chapter unfolds in Port Charles, the consequences of Sonny and Turner's alliance will continue to ripple through the city, affecting everyone in their orbit. The tension between law and crime, justice and manipulation, will define their actions as they navigate a world where the line between right and wrong is often blurred. For Sonny, Turner, and their families, this partnership may be the key to survival, or it could lead them all down a path from which there is no return. Only time will tell how far they are willing to go to protect those they love, and how much they are willing to sacrifice in the process.